So hello and good morning to you all, and thanks for taking time to join us on what looks to be a really lovely Friday morning. Fall is in the air, and while the summer hot weather might somewhat be behind us, I have to say that our activity in the tourism season continues to kind of go from strength to strength in the last number of months. And as we've moved back into rebuilding and reopening, and getting ourselves out there to the world, we've been faced collectively with an obvious labor shortage. TIANS has heard this from our partners and our members, and we want to be able to provide you with as many resources and tools as possible to support bridging those gaps. And we know as part of our strategy that we need to be looking at different types of labor pools to address those shortages and build our overall population so that we can look forward to a really bright and strong future collectively for the province. We're absolutely thrilled today to have some of the team joining us today from the Immigration and Population Growth branch of the Nova Scotia Labour Skills and Immigration Department. So this organization has recently undergone some reframing and reorganization, and we're absolutely delighted to see that skills and immigration and labor is all under one roof together, because they are so interconnected, and TIANS is thrilled to have them as such a strong partner. So today we're joined by Stacey Oxner. She's the Director of Attraction and Engagement, as well as Leanne Bartlett, the Assistant Manager of External Relations. And again, they are with the Nova Scotia Immigration and Population Growth branch of Labour Skills and Immigration. Today, they're going to share some insight into the important work that they're doing. They're going to share, again, some information with us that we can use for the Atlantic Immigration Program, as well as the Nova Scotia Nominee Program, around recruiting and retaining employees in our sector for the tourism industry here in Nova Scotia. And you're also going to hear about some exciting work that's happening around upcoming recruitment events that industry can actually have a presence and engagement in, both domestically and internationally, to support attracting new talent. We are recording this component of the session, so the presentation will be recorded. There's going to be a Q&A at the end of this presentation, so please write down your questions, and I will be supporting moderating those and getting them out to Stacey and Leanne afterwards. The Q&A will not be recorded, so just a heads up for that. And we will get the link ready over the next little bit after the webinar ends to be able to share with those who could not join us today. But to those of you that are on with us now, thank you. And I'm going to hand over to Stacey and Leanne to take it away and turn my own video off. Thank you again, ladies, for joining, and look forward to hearing and watching your presentation.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I remember when I made the move over to immigration, I sent you an email about, being sad that I was leaving major events and working with my tourism counterparts. But now I'm really excited to be working with all of you in a new role. And so when I was seeing the participation list coming forward, I saw some familiar names. And so really thrilled to be here, really thrilled to be in this new role, and talking about how our many tourism operators right across Nova Scotia can utilize our programs to address some of the labor shortages that you're all experiencing. So Lisa, thank you for the opportunity. We're really thrilled to be here. And so we have a very significant mandate here at the Office of Immigration and Population Growth. As Lisa alluded to, our mission has expanded to not just immigration attraction, but domestic attraction as well. We've been doing it, but our office hasn't had that mandate. So it makes total sense. And we want to reach 2 million by 2060. So that's an aggressive target. And to meet that target, that means about 25,000 people a year. But we know that those people are required to fill the vacancies that is being experienced across a multitude of sectors. And it's right across Nova Scotia too. It's not an HRM problem. We have been hearing from companies and businesses from Cape Breton to Yarmouth. And so we know that there's a need, and we know the value that newcomers bring to our province through economic impact, but through the diversity and the culture that they bring. The vibrancy of our province only gets better with newcomers coming to Nova Scotia. So how can we best support that mandate? I wanted to show you our team that is supporting this work in attraction and engagement. Of course, Leanne is our acting manager of external relations. She's been with the department for a little bit of a time. Hey, Leanne, I'd say what? How many years? Oh, I'm mute. There you go.
15 actually.
Yeah, so Leanne has been through a number of pieces of the department, understands process, and she'll expertly walk you all through that process today. And also supported, so we've got like the engagement side, which is Leanne, and we're going to be filling a francophone position and the manager position. So that team will be full again soon. And then supported by the navigators who are in every area of the province. See their names there from Cape Breton. We just hired Chris, who's joined our team just this week, and Mar in Yarmouth as well. So we are fully staffed almost, and there to connect you and with the process, but there to connect newcomers to the process too, and the community. So we are a dynamic team, and we're here to support you is our message. We know that the province works collaboratively with the federal government on immigration. This is not just our process, it's a shared one. And so over the next few slides, Leanne will walk you through the streams that we offer, both to companies and to candidates, and how we work collaboratively with the federal government. So Leanne, over to you as the expert.
Thank you, Stacey. And I have to say, I've been with the office for this long because I truly love the work and believe in the work, believe immigration is so important to this province and to growing our province, but also to the individuals who want to make Nova Scotia their new permanent home. So as Stacey mentioned, immigration. So I'm going to speak to the immigration side of our work. Immigration, as Stacey mentioned, is a shared jurisdiction. What that means is that we have our provincial immigration programs, our Nova Scotia Nominee Program, and our Atlantic Immigration Program. We have these as a result of agreements with federal immigration. And these programs allow us, the province of Nova Scotia, to have a say in who we want to immigrate here, to work in our businesses, to live in our communities, to build their lives here. So as you'll see, as I move through the presentation, applications are submitted to our office and candidates are endorsed under our Atlantic Immigration Program. They are nominated under our Nova Scotia Nominee Program. With those endorsement approvals, with those nomination approvals, candidates can then apply to federal immigration for permanent residency. That's the ultimate goal. We want people to immigrate here, stay long-term, and make good lives for themselves in the province. The federal government decides who gets permanent residency. The federal government also decides who gets work permits, who can come here and work for businesses on a work permit. So I just wanted to make sure that that is clear, that we work in collaboration with the federal government to make these programs a success. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of AIP and our nominee program, I just wanted to talk briefly about the National Occupational Classification System. I expect that most, if not all, on the line are familiar with this system. It's like a big dictionary of all occupations in Canada, and occupations are grouped or classified based on skill level. So the high skilled positions are those in skill level 0A/B. Your semi-skilled occupations are NOC skill level C, and then your entry level are NOC skill level D. So knowing the NOC skill level of the job that you're offering to a candidate, the candidate knowing the NOC skill level of work experience that they have helps determine which program, which immigration program could be the best way to go. We'll say that the NOC system as you see it today is changing. It will change November 16th of this year. The federal government will be introducing a new NOC 2021 system. It will look different than what you're seeing on the screen now. The concept will be the same, knowing where the job that you're offering falls within the NOC system, the candidate knowing where their work experience falls within the NOC system helps determine eligibility for immigration programs. Also wanted to mention that when using our provincial immigration programs to meet your labor market needs, we have a recruitment test that we want to see that you have adhered to. So we want to see that you have looked locally first. And just to add to that, I attended a job fair yesterday, and it was a job fair for Black, Indigenous, and people of color job seekers. And there were 45 organizations in the room talking about their various job opportunities. I'm hearing that there were about 100 job seekers that came. And me personally, when I was at our booth with a couple of colleagues from another branch within our department, me personally, most of the job seekers that I spoke to were African Nova Scotians. So I think not only advertising your job opportunities, thinking about ways that you can also identify job seekers in traditionally unrepresented groups. So we want you to look locally first, consider underrepresented groups. We want to see that you've posted your job on 3 different platforms for 4 consecutive weeks. And there's some examples there of where you can post your job. And beyond that, I think you could be creative. Think outside the box. Where else could I be advertising my job opportunities? In terms of our provincial immigration programs and using them, there are situations where you would not have to show us proof of your job advertising. And those situations are if the person is already working for you on a valid work permit, we don't need to see your job advertising. If the person that you want to hire has an open work permit, you don't have to show proof of job advertising. And an open work permit means that the individual does not have any restrictions on it. They can work for almost any employer in any job. And another situation where you would not have to show us copies of your job ads is if you already have a labor market impact assessment from the federal government. Okay, now, in terms of finding workers, you may decide that you need help finding workers, and you may choose that you want to hire a recruiter to help you find workers. I will stress that if you do decide to do that, and it's not mandatory, it's totally your choice, you must use a recruiter who's licensed in Nova Scotia. And recruiters are licensed through the Nova Scotia Labor Standards Division within our department. And Nova Scotia Labor Standards has a website that lists all the licensed recruiters in Nova Scotia. Okay, let's talk AIP. AIP is an innovative approach to immigration in this country. It's innovative in a couple of ways, in a couple of unique ways. The first is that AIP is an employer-driven program, and that will make sense when I go to the next slide that talks about the process. It's unique because with all other immigration programs in Canada, it's the candidate that you want to recruit or the employee that you want to retain who leads the application process. That is the case with our Nova Scotia Nominee Program, which I will talk about a little bit later. But with AIP, it's actually you, the employer, that leads the application process. You, as the employer, are submitting applications to our office. Again, that will become clear when I get to the next slide. Another unique feature of AIP is that there is a built-in settlement component. And the reason behind that built-in settlement component is that not only do we want to attract more people here to work in our businesses and live in our communities, we want people to stay. So this increased settlement role that we want you to play helps with improving our retention rate. Here's how it works. You, as an employer, a business, the first step that you must take for AIP is to apply to become a designated employer. It's like you're registering with our office to be able to use AIP to meet your labor market needs. In terms of requirements or criteria that we look at the designation stage, your business has been in continuous active operation for at least 2 years. You're in compliance with Nova Scotia labor standards and occupational health and safety. And the job opportunities that you have available are full-time, year-round. So those are the things that we look at the designation stage. And you would submit an application through our website. You would submit a designation application through our website. And I will actually show you in the next slides where you go on our website to apply. You'll also see there at the designation stage, employer starts training. There are 2 courses that you will have to complete. Those courses do not have to be completed for your designation application. They have to be completed for the next stage, which is employer endorsement. But at the designation stage, you could look at, okay, what is that training? And I need to sign up for it. And it is onboarding training that is offered through federal immigration, IRCC, as well as we want you to take intercultural competency training. Again, that training does not have to be completed for designation. So I would encourage everyone that's on the line to apply for designation now. Don't wait. And don't wait until you have identified a foreign national or a candidate that you want to recruit or an employee that you want to support through AIP. You don't have to have a person in mind to apply for designation. So again, I would encourage you to apply for designation as soon as you can. Once you are approved as a designated employer, you find the candidate that you want to recruit or the employee that you want to support, you submit a second application to our office. It's called the endorsement application. It's specific to the individual that you want to hire, and it's specific to the job that you are offering. Again, this is where you need to have that training that I was talking about completed. And you'll also see that employer and candidate will obtain a settlement plan. So that goes back to what I said earlier, this settlement component that's unique to AIP. Each candidate that you want to hire or retain will contact a settlement service provider and have a needs assessment done. And based on that needs assessment, the candidate will receive a settlement plan. And that settlement plan will be a guide for the candidate and their family members if they have a spouse and children. It's a guide to help them integrate and be successful successful in Nova Scotia, and you have a role to play in that. Your endorsement application for a particular individual is approved by us. Then the individual proceeds to the last step, which is to apply to federal immigration for permanent residency. That process takes time. So if the individual also needs to apply for a work permit so that they can come here sooner to be working for you, there's the option to apply for a work permit as well. Okay, so recap, first two steps, you working with our office. If all goes well there, the endorsed candidate applies to the federal government for permanent residency and a work permit if required. So where do you go on our website to submit applications? This is a screenshot of our website. You'll see the blue Apply Online button there. That's where you go to submit designation applications. And when you are designated, you go to that same Apply Online button to submit endorsement applications for the specific individuals that you want to recruit and retain. When you click on that Apply Online button, you're taken to a screen that looks like this. So you would focus on the Atlantic Immigration Program side, click Apply Online. If you do not already have an account, you will be prompted to create an account. And it is essentially your email address and creating a password. Once you have an account, then you go into Apply Online, submit a designation application. You go to the Go to Applications blue button, and you will see this. This is what the designation application looks like. So you'll see the different sections on the side of the screen there that shows you what information you will have to provide for your application. And again, once you're designated, you go back into the portal and submit endorsement applications, and you will see a similar screen with different sections that you have to populate for your endorsement applications. Now I'm going to switch gears from AIP and talk briefly about our Nova Scotia Nominee Program. And I wanted specifically to talk about our occupations in demand stream. So we have streams or categories, we call them streams under the Nova Scotia Nominee Program, job-based streams. We have other streams that don't require a job offer, but these four that you see on the screen do require that the candidate have a permanent full-time job offer from a Nova Scotia employer. And the reason why I wanted to focus on occupations in demand is that within occupations in demand, there are 7 specific occupations that are identified. And those occupations are considered semi-skilled and entry level. And of those 7, there's actually 2 that are relevant to your industry: food and beverage servers and cleaners, room attendants. So wanted to make you aware that that is an opportunity for you as well. In terms of the process, as I mentioned earlier, with our nominee program, it's the individual that you have offered the job to. They are the ones that would submit an application to our office based on that permanent full-time job offer from you, maybe as a food and beverage server, maybe as a room attendant. They submit that to us. Their application must include documentation from you, the employer who's offering the job. So they would get some documents from you to include in their application to us. And if they're nominated, Like with AIP, they would apply to the federal government for permanent residency and a work permit if required. So I've given you a lot of information, and I expect that it can be overwhelming and it's not easy. So we have an employer support team. I'm part of the employer support team. This is what we do. We work with businesses every day to help you navigate our Atlantic Immigration Program and our Nova Scotia Nominee Program, provide guidance, answer questions. That's what we're here for. So I would encourage you, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, and we'll do the best that we absolutely can to support you through this process so you can get the talent that you need. I will also add that, as you have probably concluded from what I've shared, it's not a quick process, right? So if you engage with immigration right now, the process requires you to look ahead, because it takes time to go through these steps and for individuals to actually come here to be working, right? So if you engage in immigration now, that will help you have workers for next year, right? So again, going back to the Atlantic Immigration Program, I encourage you to submit your designation application as soon as you can. Get that step done, right? Okay. And before I hand it over to Stacey to talk about our recruitment events that may be of interest to you, I just wanted to highlight something else. So, as you know, Ukrainian nationals are arriving in this province every week. And most adults, if not all, are arriving with open work permits from the federal government. And again, these open work permits allow these individuals to work for almost any employer in any job. So you could offer them a job today and they could start today or tomorrow or the next day or next week. These individuals want to work. We are providing funding to the YMCA to help provide supports to these individuals. And you, as an employer, if you're interested in employing Ukrainian nationals, you can actually go to the YMCA's website and express your interest. So I've been on the website, you put in your business name, contact person, hit submit, and then the YMCA will follow up with you. And they do job matching. They have clients, Ukrainian nationals, who have reached out to them for support. They have businesses going through their website saying, I want to help and employ these individuals. So the YMCA is doing some job matching. So there's a potential opportunity there for you to identify potential employees. Okay, that is it for me. And I'm going to hand it back over to Stacey.
Thanks so much, Leanne. I think every time I listen to you, I learn something new. For those of you who don't know, I've only been here for 3 months. So there is a lot of information to go through, and to reiterate what Leanne said, we're here to support you. And so if this is an approach you want to take, we can absolutely come to your workplace too, do smaller sessions, walk you through the process again, to better help you understand how this could be a fit for you. And to echo Leanne, become designated, start the process now, and we'll support you through that process. And so the reason why it's so important is because our office, so we talked about, the process side, but we are out there marketing the destination as a place to live, to a variety of different audiences. So I just returned from Belgium. We were in Brussels and Namur with our counterparts in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island for Destination Acadie. So this was a Francophone mission. We met with more than 400 French-speaking candidates. all of them want to call the Maritimes home. And I was thinking about all of you as I was having these conversations, doing my best in French. I had to brush up on those French skills, but I was thinking these candidates would be so valuable in the hotels and this industry because they are bilingual in most cases. They have business skills. And so they may not have the hotel experience, for example, but they could apply the skills in that setting easily. So yes, it's not a short-term solution, but we do have a pool of candidates that we've been gathering over these recruitment events that we've been doing. We've done 15 international recruitment sessions this year in a variety of different locations. We have a pool of candidates. We know what their skill level is, so you can capitalize on those. We can connect you to those candidates, and designation makes it easier for the candidates. And so the conversations we're having in market, we talk about the two streams, the nominee program and AIP, and you could see the relief kind of drain from their faces when we talked about AIP and how the employers lead that process because they're invested in bringing immigrants to Nova Scotia, and they know you've done a settlement plan and have thought about how you're going to welcome them to the community and to your workplace. So that is a big benefit for the candidates that are really uprooting their lives to call Canada and Nova Scotia home, right? It's not an easy decision to make, but again, the vibrancy that they'll bring to your workplace and to our province is incredible. So I talked about Destination Acadie. Again, I saw some candidates. We had really good matching for education. So we know we have a need for Francophone teachers and early childhood educators. So saw some really great success there, but we met chefs, IT professionals, a few doctors that I put in my luggage. Just kidding, I really didn't do that. I was tempted, and nurses as well. So there's a great opportunity to talk more about how we can potentially understand your labor needs and where the best place to find candidates could be. So that planning will happen shortly. We have a couple of other upcoming events we wanted to talk to you about. Newcomers Canada is an in-person event this year in Paris. It's organized by IRCC, our federal counterparts. We'll be in Paris and Rabat, Morocco. There will be an opportunity for you to post any job vacancies. So really interesting, in those other countries, they have job organizations, job posting organizations that they are willing to share with their residents other opportunities in Canada. We don't do that in Canada. It's really unique to other countries. And so they want to make sure that their residents know that they can go seek other opportunities in Canada specifically. So they are moving that process online. And so we should have information from IRCC within the next 2 weeks, and we will absolutely share it through Lisa. So if you do have job opportunities coming up, we can market them in these two locations. Because we aren't able to bring employers to these events, we are looking at bringing some economic agencies like the regional enterprise networks with us, so they could be the regional representation in the market, and then can speak specifically about job opportunities in their regions. So that's coming up in November, and they have a virtual one, which I perked up about because it is specifically about hospitality. So they did a virtual session last year, and they were overwhelmed by the number of candidates that attended virtually from all over the world. So we are awaiting information from IRCC about that event happening in March, again, with a hospitality specific event. So that's something you can look forward to. And then in the shorter term, we have Newcomers Canada in Toronto. This again is in person. There is an opportunity for employers to attend with us. We will have representation there. But if this is something you're interested in, happy to answer any questions you might have about what the focus of applicants is. We don't have a full registration list yet to give a good deep dive into this year's registrants, but what we've experienced in the past is many of the attendees have an IT focus. Leanne, you were there in the spring, correct?
I was not, but I do know that there were 750 people, job seekers,
Yeah.
or individuals exploring other opportunities that attended, and their backgrounds varied from information technology to healthcare to professional occupations, hospitality, various backgrounds.
Very good. Thanks, Leanne. So again, if this is something you're interested in exploring and figuring out if it makes sense for you to attend with us, we're certainly open to a conversation. So do get in touch. Next slide. That's it. Oh my goodness. I feel like we've covered a lot, and there's some really good questions already in chat about seasonal workers and what the opportunity might be to fill those gaps. So I'm happy to pass it over to Lisa, and we can dive into some of those questions. Thanks so much.
What a great presentation. There's lots of great content in there from you both. Thank you, Stacey and Leanne, for bringing us this really timely information. Again, I'm seeing some of these questions as well, so I'm going to dive right in, but I am also conscious of the fact that we're going to actually pause our recording at this point. So for those that will watch this in the future, thank you for joining, and I will hit pause at this point. And just to clarify, for those watching in future, you can reach out to ourselves at Tie-Ins to connect through to Stacey or Leanne, as well as look at their contact information, which has been provided in this presentation.